Hi, everyone. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for coming in. Thank y'all for wanting to become even more star-sighted in your life, to learn about the stars, to learn their significance, and to get the highest knowledge you can attain. Now, the reason why I say it's the highest knowledge because this knowledge is in the heavens, it's in the sky, and you can't get this information anywhere else. It is the highest knowledge, and you're going to find out why. It shows you who you are, where you are, what this place is. It's really magical. It's really incredible on levels that we don't really understand yet because we're we were taught what we were taught, but we weren't taught correctly about how the world really works, and we definitely weren't taught the secrets and the mysteries. Well, we're gonna unshroud many mysteries, many secrets, and this is for you to pass on to your family. The biggest valuable thing you can get is knowledge. Knowledge that leads to wisdom, and then that's how you know how to act. You know how to move. You know how to be and what to say, and you have your answers because you have the truth. And a lot of times we are taught things from tradition, wind up finding out later that doesn't fit for you anymore. Or you can go through your whole life believing that one thing and die believing that same thing, and lived your whole life and find out maybe once you transcend or go to the other side that everything you believed in this life was wrong. And this is why, I'm here to speak and share and teach because I have friends and family members who've passed and they didn't get to learn the truth. They died believing in traditions and this sort of thing. And I truly believe what we don't learn in this life, you have to come back again in the next life and learn those same lessons. So I'm doing my best to help as many people as I can really start to understand the truth and why it's so important and why to align yourself with the truth. A lot of people think their beliefs can override the truth. I'm sorry, that's not even a possible thing. Not on your best day. The truth is, y'all. And so we're about to get into some really fantastic information, mind-blowing information, and I'm just so thankful that I get to share it with you. So I'm gonna start with an orientation for the class and we'll go from there. But it'll be my wife. So my wife, when she got the information, I was with her. I worked from home, I sold furniture, and I was able to take care of her and our puppies, and we lived in this wonderful house where she was born, where I was raised. And the city is rough, but in a lot of ways, but we had heaven on earth, and we had this truth, and we had each other, and this is what our legacy became. And the day before she passed, she put the cherry on top of all of our work. The night before she passed, and the next morning I was with her, she would wake up and she would pass of a heart attack after us being together for like an hour or so. It was the most devastating thing to me. I could not believe it. But this is like 3 years later, and I am doing my best to keep moving forward in my life and carry the torch of what we have. And she's the greatest person I ever knew. I mean, great on so many levels. She was intelligent, she was beautiful, she was probably the best teacher that I've ever seen, and you're gonna get a whole dose of it in this lecture. So without further ado, let's get into the orientation. I got so many things going around in my head, but it's cool because this is my first presentation and this is an opportunity to share so much with you. So we're gonna start right here with the orientation.
Welcome, everyone, to the launch of several new projects we have to share with you great people who are ready to get lit and begin your star-sided adventure with us. We have a rather loud hum of the air conditioner in the background because it is a super hot day as I'm recording this, which I guess in light of what we're doing here, it fits. You can think of this as your orientation class to the homeschool for grown-ups kind of vibe that we're going for here. My friends call me Shannon, and I will be your narrator, teacher, and adventure guide here. I'm just one half of the two-person team behind the creation of our new website that we've also just launched, starsnearme.com. The other half of our two-person team is the man that I share my life with. Not only is Dee the love of my life, he is also right by my side in the great work that we're doing together here and sharing it with other great people like you. So even though it's my voice that you're going to hear as a guide throughout this lit adventure we're beginning, you're also from time to time going to hear from D2 as he shares his insights. Our website, starsnearme.com, and our new social media channels like this one were created to share with other great people all over the earth two enormous and potentially world-changing discoveries that we made independently about how our world really works. And for us, it completely changed our own personal worlds and has now become our full-time work to share the discoveries that we made with as many great people like you as we can. The point in it all is so that other great people can also correct their vision with which they see the world. That's what becoming star-sighted is all about. Dee and I are both artists and truth seekers from what you could call the heart of America. But even though we were actively seeking out truthful answers about how our world really works, even we couldn't believe how big both of these independent discoveries we made could really be. At the same time, it only made the most perfect sense once we saw it and how these two enormous discoveries fit together. We knew at that point we could never unsee it, and knew that the discoveries that we made were just too enormous not to be shared with other great people to see too. This is how all of the projects came to be, all as a result of making these two discoveries. It ended up with us beginning our new adventure here together. So what about these discoveries? Well, taken together, simply put, we realized we found what could be described as the world's ultimate secret decoder ring. I know, sounds a little bit like the plot of a cheesy kids adventure movie, right? But it's real. We also discovered that once you have the knowledge of this ultimate secret decoder ring and how it works, you could unlock all the real meaning behind all, and I mean all, of the most famous stories and works of art that we call masterpieces all over the earth. Despite what appears to be great differences in culture, language, and even time. In other words, we found the one source template or formula from which every master has created their masterworks from, no matter where that master was from. And we're talking about both the time they were from and the space or the place they were from too. If that's not big enough, we also discovered that this same template or formula has been used for centuries to create the most famous and the biggest stories on earth that became entire schools of philosophy in our modern day education systems, governments, and ideologies known all over the earth. It's also the same source template or formula used to create every single world religion ever known about. It's also the same template or formula used to create every breaking news headline story that you see breaking every minute on modern day screens, small enough now to hold in the palm of your hand. What we found and have nicknamed the real all-seeing eye or the real oracle is enormously big. We knew that once we made these discoveries that we were going to have to find a way to teach this mind-blowing and potentially world-changing knowledge to the great people on earth today who need to know it, and that's what we're doing here. Not everyone is ready to know about the discoveries that we made, and that's because the easily verified for yourself truth or proof that we present will likely challenge most average people's belief systems that are held by most too tightly, even in light of overwhelming evidence that a change from belief to actual knowledge is required. Required, that is, if we want to continue to grow or grow up. So just to be very clear about the house rules, so to speak here, the online spaces we created are to share these discoveries and reach as many great people as we can. And I want to start by briefly defining what I mean by great people. Great people are all very different individuals, but they have these traits in common. They are curious and open and can use critical thinking of their own. Even when new information challenges everything they've heard or been taught before or believed to be true, once they are exposed or know the truth, they accept the truth as the truth and don't completely freak out or totally short circuit trying to fight against it just because it conflicts with their formerly, wrongly, or longly held belief. And great people are also very supportive of themselves and other people, especially in the process of learning something so enormous and challenging. The discoveries that we're sharing, you need to know, just to give it its proper context, almost no one else knows about yet. This means that, as far as we know, after all the looking that we've done, we are the only people on earth who will tell you the truth about the discoveries that we made, just as we found them to be. We have, as of yet, found no other so-called scholar or expert that either can or will ever verify the truth of what we found, because it's very likely that they are too far too invested in not knowing what we do. This is something that we also learned from experience too. That's why we're here, not teaching them, but teaching the knowledge of the discoveries we made to you. We have to start with beginner's mind, because we also learned in this process that most people, even the great people of the world today, have lost some very important and very foundational knowledge that's crucial in connecting the dots and seeing the big picture about the discoveries that we made. And that is fundamental knowledge about how everything in the sky above all of our head moves. I know, that wasn't exactly something I was expecting either, that knowing how everything moves in the sky above our heads is actually tied to what we discovered. But it does, in the biggest ways. And it's why it's the place to start, to be able to comprehend the most advanced knowledge that we will be guiding you through as we show it to you along our way. Our beginner video course and/or our series of 4 short books we are now releasing. That's the place that you want to start. The first book in our series, Constellations by Campfire, The Easy and Naked Eye Way, is available now on our website in either ebook format, instantly downloadable right from our home website, or in paperback version as well. The links will be in the description with a disclaimer that I must make that by clicking any links offered in the videos or on our website, though it will cost you nothing extra, we may earn a small commission from any sale made through the clicking of those links. It's just one easy way to help support us doing this work here, and for that, we thank you. We created the Constellations by Campfire series for anyone living in what we call the Northern Hemisphere, to be able to learn the star constellations of the night sky and where and when to find them. The first book of the series we released is for use now during the summer season. The method we use requires no technology. In other words, you do not need a telescope. You need nothing more than the knowledge that we teach and your own naked eyes. So you want to start by heading over to our website, get your Constellations by Campfire for the summer season ebook or the paperback version. And while you're there, you also want to send us an email to tell us that you're interested in the video courses that we are starting very soon, and to get signed up for our private email list, so you'll be notified of all of our newest posts when we make them on our website and anywhere that we post on social media platforms. Our email is the best way to reach us, as we've learned through previous experience that communication through social media platforms, let's just say, has not been the most reliable, or anything that we have any personal control over at all. So our preference is that you contact us through our website email. I think that's going to cover our first orientation video and the information that we needed to share within it here. So again, go ahead over and check out our new website, starsnearme.com. Get your Constellations by Campfire book, and be sure to sign up for our email list when you're there. And after that, we'll see you back here very soon as we start to dive into our star-sided adventure together. It's about to get lit. Until next time, be well.
All right, y'all. So that's our introduction, that's our orientation, and there's so much to share with you today. I mean, so much that I need to really put things in the order of where I want to start. So we're starting with truth and why it matters. And the truth is like a warlike force. That's a saying from Mark Passio. If any of you ever get a chance to listen to Mark Passio, he's probably one of the best presenters out that I've ever seen. My wife's 100% the best, but Mark Passio is amazing, and he uses this term, he says, the truth is like a warlike force. And that's because the truth is powerful. You don't have to yell it, you don't have to scream it or anything. It's just devastating if you believed or trusted or thought you were right about something, and you find out the truth and figure out, man, I was wrong. And that's the hardest thing to do in life, is to admit you were wrong and to deal with that, to understand that you got played. And that's the whole kit and caboodle of this, is deception. We are going to help you guys start to free yourselves from deception, just like we freed ourselves from deception. We even have a video called that, but that'll come down the line. It's very intricate and complex, but we aim to make it easy for you. And that's what all this is about, is understanding how to become more star-sighted by understanding the patterns and the seasons and how things move in the sky. So the calendar is what we need to get into. So this calendar that we're on right now is the Gregorian calendar. Well, everything that you're learning on this timeline is history, right? So this is how they create history. They use a template in the sky. Let's go there. And it's the stars and how they move, how they cyclically move season to season. And we're gonna get into why there's a leap year, why we do daylight savings time the way we do. None of the stuff that you're gonna be learning today have you learned in school or what ever learned anywhere else. There isn't anybody teaching what me and Preem teach. And so this is really a wealth of knowledge. I take it back to the Bible, even though I know the Bible is parables, symbols, and everything is in the sky in that Bible. And so I remember in the Bible about King Solomon, right? King Solomon, he cared about knowledge, and that was like, when I was reading the Bible, so important to me. And I just was like, King Solomon was awesome to me because of that. And God blessed him because he cared about knowledge, which grew to wisdom. And so, how funny, all these years later, that's what I aim to do, is to give people knowledge so they can have, wisdom. And I could have never imagined that King Solomon would have that kind of effect on me still to this day, of caring about wisdom, knowledge, the truth. Okay, so what we have here is how our legacy began. So if you're looking up at the screen, you'll be able to see this is the sky and this is a star constellation, or a star map, basically. And so this is what the whole presentation is on, and we're about to get into it. I just want to give you guys like a precursor. And so this is a wheel, y'all. This is how history is created. This is how stories and movies and books are all created. And there's a template. Guess who the characters are in your movie, your book, your story, whatever you might be into. The characters in that movie, in that story, in that cartoon are the star constellations. Depending on what story it is, what time of year it is, what have you, because it's tied to a calendar. They use the stars to create our world. And what do I mean like that, about that? So we have a religion that we were given, but who created the religion? How did they create the religion? You're gonna find out today. And you're gonna find out about the calendar and how we were on a lunar calendar first, right? We were on the Julius Caesar calendar, and that's a lunar calendar. But they had problems reconciling that calendar because they realized they had to change it from a lunar calendar to a solar calendar, which is the Gregorian calendar, which is what we're still on today. It was changed in 1582 by Pope Gregory VIII, and we're still on this timeline. Other cultures, they're 3,000 years ahead of us, like 5,700 or whatever. And there's other calendars, the Hebrew calendar, they still use the Julian day calendar, and that has nothing to do with, you know, our seasons, or that's keeping track of the stars. So you'll see all of this in some of the videos I present. I'll be doing some talking, and then we'll go back to the videos, because we did an awesome job describing everything I'm trying to tell you guys. It's just me trying to like get you introduced more into what we're going to be sharing. But this is the whole reason we have this legacy. And this is knowledge from like thousands of years ago that has been lost to us regular people. It's been occulted, it's been hidden, and it's been used against us. And so, yeah, I'm just so excited about this. And I just want to get you guys ready to learn what exactly is alternative astronomy and astrology. This is what me and Preem coined the name of what we teach, what our legacy is, and let's get into that, showing you guys what is alternative astronomy and astrology. And Preem is the narrator of that. These are all videos that I've done. I've done so many since she's passed, but I did tribute videos for her. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to cover. Let me see. Let me find alternative astronomy for you guys. Okay, here we go.
Versus alternative astronomy. What is astronomy versus alternative astronomy? Words have meaning more than just how you'll find them defined in any dictionary today. And that's not just because the words that we use change meaning over time. It's because many times new discoveries, even if they're of much older things, require us either to redefine a word in light of the new discovery, or the new discovery will require us to create a new word altogether to define it. A new word that doesn't yet exist in the dictionary when you go to look it up. Now, because of the discoveries we made, we also find ourselves here in this cool place where we're pioneering a new field of study, and that also requires defining it. So we've looked at several places at this point, and we have yet to find alternative astronomy in any dictionary, so we may be among the first to actually define it. So that's pretty exciting, right? At least for nerdy pants people like I am. And they tell you that there's nothing new under the sun. Well, that all depends on how you're looking at it, as we're learning more about here. So what we're going to do is start out looking quickly at 3 dictionary definitions of the word astronomy to start with, to find out exactly why we are going to need another term. All right, so we're going to start with the Free Dictionary. Astronomy defined there is the branch of science which deals with the celestial objects, space, and the physical universe as a whole. Merriam-Webster defines astronomy this way: the study of objects and matter outside the Earth's atmosphere and of their physical and chemical properties. And when you scroll down through Merriam-Webster's definition of astronomy, you also get this little blurb asking about what the difference is between astronomy and astrology. I'm going to read it here because we're going to revisit this down the road as well. So Merriam-Webster says the difference between astronomy and astrology: at one time these words were actually synonymous. That is, astronomy once meant what astrology means today, but they have since moved apart from each other. In current use, astronomy is concerned with the study of objects and matter outside the Earth's atmosphere, while astrology is the purported divination of how stars and planets influence our lives. Put bluntly, astronomy is a science and astrology is not. We're going to get back to this down the road and in just a second here, but let's see our 3rd dictionary definition of the word astronomy from Cambridge. They define it as the scientific study of the universe and objects that exist naturally in space, such as the moon, the sun, planets, and stars. Now we find the word science in these dictionary definitions, and I think in the mental concepts that most people think about when hearing the word astronomy. So let's look specifically at what Merriam-Webster has to say about their definition of science, because this is going to take us in an interesting direction. Merriam-Webster defines science. The first definition given is the state of knowing, knowledge as distinguished from ignorance or misunderstanding. The second definition offered is, I think, what most people today think of when they hear the word science: a department of systematized knowledge as an object of study. The third definition of science Merriam-Webster offers us is knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and vetted through scientific method. And the fourth definition, a system or method reconciling practical ends with scientific laws. And for example they give is cooking is both a science and an art. All right, but I think what's happened in our current culture, really all over Earth, I don't think this is just here in my specific culture, what we call American culture, there exists this split between science and art and how they are viewed. Very much like what we were already exposed to with the Merriam-Webster definition when they were talking about the differences between astrology and astronomy. So let's look at the definition Merriam-Webster has to offer us then about the word art. Number 1, it's a skill acquired by experience, study, or observation. 2, a branch of learning. 3, an occupation requiring knowledge or skill. 4, the conscious use of skill and creative imagination, especially in the production of aesthetic objects. I think this fourth definition is what most people think of with their mental conception when they hear the word art. You can comment below whether you agree or not. The fifth definition says it's an archaic one for the term art, meaning a skillful plan. That's interesting. And number 6 is decorative or illustrative elements in printed matter. So that's interesting to me that it specifically mentions printed matter. But again, just comparing science and art in those two definitions, there's not much difference between them, as you can see in how they're defined. And at first glance, it would also seem as if what we're learning here at Stars Near Me might fit the definitions of astronomy that we've just looked at. Yet anyone who looks up anything about astronomy today will return not just this definition, but the model and the story that goes with it, right? So lots of images and graphics that look like these. And we've talked about this before, but I want you to think about now how these kinds of images and graphics and the stories that go with them impact down the road the mental images that are called up that most people are seeing in their mind's eye when they hear the word astronomy today. So what I want to do at this point is take a look even deeper at the origins of the word astronomy, because things are even more interesting when we investigate the etymology or the origin of the word astronomy. So according to Etymology Online, astronomy, astrology, scientific or occult study of heavenly bodies. Astronomy, astrology from Old French and from Latin, literally, quote, star regulating, unquote, from astron, star, plus nomos, quote, arranging, regulating, rule, law. Now we're really getting down to it. So you might then say that what we're talking about here is the occult study of star law as a much more accurate description of what we're learning here at Stars Near Me. So this is the reason that we need a different definition, because although we're studying what you could think of as real astronomy, it's alternative to the systems or the models that have been designed to teach what is called astronomy today, and the mental images that are being called up in most people's mind's eye when they think about this word. So yes, we're using the scientific method here to guide us in testing out repeatedly our discoveries, the results of which continually contradict much of what is being taught as science in places like schools in our modern day. This is the reason we need a different definition. So for our beginning process at defining alternative astronomy here, we can say that it is the study of the law of the celestial luminaries and their connection to the stories and events that affect beings that live on the earth. It's both a science and an art. Now we can look at the difference between astrology and astronomy in a future video. And for more information, you can check out our website, starsnearme.com. Get signed up there for our private email list. If you're in the mood to shop, you can find plenty of cool alternative astronomy things on our website as well. Everything is down in the description and the links, or you can just type in starsnearme.com in your browser to check out our space. Give this vid a like if you liked it. That little thumbs up, that love does help to extend our reach, and it is appreciated. And with all of that, I think we've gotten a good start on defining what is alternative astronomy and what it is we're learning about here. So I think that's a good place to end this one. So until next time, stay lit and be well.
All right, so that is alternative astronomy and astrology. This is what we're teaching and letting you guys know how important astrology and astronomy is, alternative astronomy. in astrology. You know, we weren't taught this. So this is a chance to have paradigm shifting information completely change the way you see the world and yourself in it. Because that's what walking in the truth does for you. You become who you were meant to be on this plane. You might think you are who you are meant to be on this plane, but the truth is the only way, you guys, to actually know who you truly are. Because once you have the truth, you have to walk it out. And once you walk it out, that means you act in truth. That means you teach the truth. You share the truth. You cannot be dissuaded by lies. And if someone has the truth and you don't have it, then you take that truth and you learn from it and you cultivate that truth into becoming a part of you. And this is what this whole seminar is about, is excuse me, is learning what you have never learned and unlearning what you have learned. People don't like to hear unlearning what they have learned their whole life, but it's not that long of a process, y'all. You're gonna find out most things that you thought were real or things that you believed in. You're gonna come to find out, oh, that's in the sky. That's a sky story. And you'll hear me say that, you'll hear her say that in these presentation videos, because that's what it all is. It's a sky story that is connected to our calendar by the stars in each season, in the holidays or the holy days, like Easter. If I was to go into Easter, I could tell you who the characters are during Easter. Every character, from Jesus to Mary, both Marys, his mother, his sister wife, or, you know, we could do the two thieves that were hung. I'm gonna show you all this, that were, I should say, crucified with Jesus. I'm gonna show you all of this today. It's already done, the work is already done. It's just my job now to facilitate it and give it to you guys. The only trick of it is, it's so much information and there's so many subjects that it covers that I'm kind of struggling with what to show y'all first and next after that. But I think religion, in our first video where we got this information, it's like God just hit baby with a lightning strike, and next thing you know, this legacy began. So she was on Stellarium, which is this program, and I forgot how we found it. We were watching something really fantastic. We were on to John Knight Lundwall and talking about the stars and all of this. And then once we found this Stellarium sky map, we could have never found this information out, because there was no internet when we were growing up back in the day, and there was no way to access the stars on a star map like this, and that changed everything. So the day that she got it was got downloaded with this information was April Fool's Day of all days. And so she was walking around the house with all this energy and just excitement, and she could see she was pinpointing all these things that she had learned. So she was a truth discoverer about so many things. I mean, we got onto the law, we got onto so many different subjects. I don't know if y'all heard of the Enneagram. We got into that and the different personality. It was so much. I was like on the crash course of learning with her. And just to see how it all wound up and how she became who she was meant to be on this plane, and then how she left, like completing her task of why she was here, and then passed the torch to me to do the same. So the Creator is amazing, the spiritual realm is amazing, and we are connected to Spirit, to the Creator in ways that we still don't fathom because we go with the religious mindset over the spiritual mindset. But the more you meditate, the more you talk to God, the more you show God that you care about the truth, God will give it to you in man, so many different ways. And so this is like so many years of studying, and it culminated to, you know, finding the truth about so many things. I can show you who Bigfoot is. Bigfoot, I've done a video on mythical creatures, and I show you so many mythical creatures that we grew up with, everything from fairies to trolls to vampires, all of it. It comes from the sky, y'all, and you're gonna see that. You're gonna see how the symbolism translates to stories and movies and characters and that sort of thing. And so I gotta get ready to go. This is just another mock intro for me. I'm just trying to put all the pieces together because this is a 5-hour lecture, but it's easy for me to do because I don't have to do all the teaching. I have the videos to teach. So that's why I think we should start with religion. That's a 3-part series. No, it's a 4-part series. And so we're gonna go with religion first, and it's mind-blowing. Now, if it hurts you or offends you to learn what you're about to learn, I'm sorry. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm just here to present the truth, whether you agree with it or not. You'll be able to see how we break down what we're saying, and then you'll be able to have the opportunity to say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't want any part of this, you know, because I got friends that's saying, that's in Christianity, that you shouldn't be dealing with the stars. It's against their church or their beliefs. But then there's passages in the Bible that talk about the stars, and it's in Job. I think it's 38. I just seen Jordan Maxwell share that. And so I'm just super excited because more and more truth is coming out. And with that, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. But yeah, we're gonna start with religion and do those 4 videos. I'll be, you know, when one video ends, I'll get up and talk a little bit more. And we're just gonna keep it going like that. It just makes it easier for me that I don't have to stand up here and talk the whole time. And then you can get still a huge dose of information from Preem, or her name is Shannon. I call her Preem, which is short for Queen Supreme. And I call her Sweet Preem. And so I even, you know, that song by Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline. So that was my song to her. Sweet Preem of mine. Dun, dun, dun. So this is definitely dedicated to her, and I'm just so grateful to be carrying the torch, that I was the lucky man that got to be what she calls her king, and the one that she passed the torch to continue our legacy on. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here, but I appreciate y'all for coming and learning, and we're gonna keep on moving forward. I'm gonna continue to keep practicing and try to do my best for y'all, okay? So I love y'all, thank y'all, much love, y'all.